All
Uh-oh.
right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast. I am privileged to have two of my tag team partners tonight, Big Calvin and Dennis, as we're going to be talking about the upcoming NBA season that is right around the corner. Fellas, first and foremost, good evening. And, it seems like it wasn't that long ago that the NBA season just finished. And honestly, it was a little bit less than 3 months. We saw the Milwaukee Bucks, win their first championship in 50 years. But with
Right.
that said, we saw the teams that made the deep runs to the playoffs last year, all take a step back this past season. If you look at the teams, the final four teams from the playoff bubble, Miami, Boston, and the Lakers were all one and done in the playoffs. Denver was the only team to get out of the first round, and then they lost in the second round of the playoffs. But in the case of Milwaukee, do they have what it takes to go back and win another NBA championship this season?
Well, first off, I want to say welcome, William. I want to say welcome, and I'm glad to see you. Dennis as well. We were kicking it for a minute before you came on. Welcome, Dennis. I'm going to keep it short and brief. If everybody is healthy, I think the Milwaukee Bucks are going to have a hard time reaching the pinnacle of success they reached last year, period. If everybody in the league, around the league is healthy, these teams are healthy, and I'm not taking nothing away from Milwaukee because basically Giannis bust their ass. And I'm going to just leave it at that. He earned whatever he got, and he played who was there. That's like the old Jordan mantra. Oh, he didn't play anybody. He beat who was there. And you got to respect it. He didn't just beat them. He really, really beat them. So I'm going to leave it like that. It's a chance they'll make a move. I could see them being in the final as the defending champion. I could see them. I could see that happening.
Um, with the whole Kyrie situation in Brooklyn, of course they can. And then you got Philly, the next most dangerous team. We don't know what's going on with Ben Simmons. I read a report today saying that now he's going to go back. How's that going to work? He's a bit of a diva. They sure as hell can win. And, and let's stay on that diva topic. They don't have one on their team.
No, Milwaukee is good. They're good to go. The reindeer, I call them the reindeer. They're good to go. Basically,
So,
last year they were third in the Eastern Conference. I think they were 46 and 26, about 20 games over 500. And to me, between the four teams in the East, actually the top three, any of them to me could have won and had that first seed. That was between the 76ers, the Nets, and the Bucks. Any three of them could have had it. So it wouldn't have mattered because at the end of the day, you still got to play the playoffs and shake out how it shake out.
Yeah, I mean, I look at Milwaukee. They lost PJ Tucker. He signed with Miami, but they are getting a healthy Dante DiVincenzo back. Remember, he had the Achilles injury, and that changes a lot as far as what they can do on the perimeter. But I think what they have to do is they got to keep doing what they did in the finals, which is playing bully ball. I think the biggest thing for Milwaukee is right now they have to get accustomed to being in the chase position because everybody is gunning for Milwaukee. It's going to be a finals game every time the Bucks take the court because you know what? They are not a litmus test for all of these teams around the league because hey, you are the defending champions. So, Giannis has been a guy, he's been a chill guy, he's been a laid back guy. It's going to be interesting to see how he and the rest of his teammates respond to that. Not to mention, we talked about the Bucks, winning the championship and the season not ending until mid-July last year. But also, let's not forget Chris Middleton, as well as Drew Holiday, went on and played for the United States in the Olympics. So you just have to wonder how fresh these guys are going to be when the season starts. And remember, last year was 72 games. This time around, it's going to be the full 82. That's what the NBA is pulling for.
I think that having a full schedule definitely changes the scope, and having the COVID-19 mandates in place will definitely change. They're used to it. It was so much won't change. It'll just be, everybody being a lot more aware of where they at, what they're doing, regardless of what their status is with the vaccination. I'm not going to make a big deal about it, but I do think for certain teams in the league, it may affect them, or it might not. I think once the regular season starts, we'll find out who's doing what as far as that's concerned. But I just want to see some good basketball, man. I think that Milwaukee, with the assets that they have, they got a pretty well-rounded roster. I did take a look at the roster today, but their three best players, aside from PJ Tucker, who they lost a lot from him being able to guard basically anybody, is going to affect them. Somebody else has to step up and assume the role of the stopper for the Milwaukee Bucks and kind of take some of that, kind of take a little bit off of Giannis' shoulders.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
I'm sorry. Go ahead,
let's
Dennis.
talk about where PJ Tucker even went. You say the rich get richer. How about the tough get tougher? Miami went and got Kyle Lowry and PJ Tucker to an already house of dogs they got there. Butler and Adebayo, and these guys are dogs, man. Even Tyler Hero's a dog. They're gonna make somebody's life miserable. If
Not
you are the faint of heart, don't drive in the paint. You ain't gonna want it. You ain't gonna want to have to deal with it
not to
over in
mention
Miami at all.
not to mention the Heat also signed Markieff Morris as well. So, he adds into that toughness. And, Cal, you and I have talked about this several times. Pat Riley, for all of his flash, the Amani suits, the slick back hair, that laid back quote unquote style. Pat Riley is a hard nosed, physical defensive guy. He's always been like that. He was like that during his playing days with the Lakers. He changed the game for the Showtime Lakers and said, listen, the Celtics, the reason why you're losing to the Celtics is because they're not respecting you because you guys are not tough enough. He made them tougher. We saw what he did with the Knicks, and it's actually, there's a book coming out this January about that called Blood in the Garden. But nonetheless, even when Pat Riley was coaching, now he's moved up to the front office, and letting Eric Spoelstra run the show. But still, his Miami teams are tough. They're greasy. Jimmy Butler fits into that. I call him, I know some people are going to get mad at that, but, he's really not a flashy or more or less a poor man's Dwayne Wade. Definitely not as flashy as D Wade, but, it's that Marquette mantra. Markieff Morris definitely fits into that. PJ Tucker fits into that. And, having a floor general like Kyle Lowry, that changes things. Bam Adebayo, he continues to get better season by season. Keeps working on his offensive game. The guy, he came into the league very talented with just athleticism, but it's all about working on your craft, and he continues to work on that with Miami. And I look at the Heat; they can be very, and let me rephrase that. I can't even say they can be; they will be very formidable this season.
100%. Even if you go to their bench, Kyle, I don't know if you know the kid, Precious Achua, the Nigerian kid. He's from the Bronx.
Yeah, he is. I forget what high school he went to, but yeah, he is from the Bronx. He has some skills. I'm gonna tell you like this. I picked Miami to be a player. My only fault, Dennis, with Miami is that they're small. And a lot of these teams have gotten bigger over the off season. That's my only fault with Miami. They could make some noise, but just like what happened when they lost the bubble chip, they lost because, of course, their best players got hurt. But realistically, they were too small. They couldn't match up.
I don't disagree with that. Bomb Adebayo, whatever they list him at, he's definitely not that big. He plays much bigger, but as the NBA Finals shows you, the NBA Finals showed everyone size does matter. Okay, you can't roll out a 7'2" center, a 7-foot small forward. You're bringing 6'10" off the bench. Your guards are all 6'5", and then Phoenix is out there with Jay Crowder, who's all of maybe 6'4.5" with shoes on. These guys, Phoenix was tremendously outmanned in the paint, and size doesn't matter. They just wore them out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see how this goes for these teams that don't have a lot of size. But sometimes when you have numbers on the other end, and undersized, they got guys that used to be undersized. So we'll see. We'll see how much it matters. I mean, I don't know if they could use a 7-footer in Miami. I don't know if that works with how they play and what they do. So maybe we got a
I
bad
agree.
team as to what they need and what they should be.
Well,
I agree.
I mean, you talk about size, and I mean, one of the best big men, if not arguably the best big man in the East, Joel Embiid and the Philadelphia 76ers. Very interesting situation. We saw this club, they really, if you want to play the woulda, coulda, shoulda card, they should have beaten the Atlanta Hawks last year. Philly, basically everything was laid out for Philly to get to the finals. And, they didn't do it. We saw, Ben Simmons continue to unravel. We saw what he did or what he did not do in Game 7 of the conference semis versus the Hawks. We saw him get upset with both Doc Rivers and Joel Embiid. There's been talks about Ben Simmons getting traded. Now they're trying to like reconcile things because the bottom line is nobody around the NBA is going to trade for Ben Simmons based off of what the Philadelphia 76ers are
There you
asking
go.
for. That's the biggest thing. But
That's
with
right. There you go.
but
Mhm.
with that said, can Philly reconcile enough with Ben Simmons to bring him back into the fray and make this a championship team this season?
Well, let me go
No.
first. Let me go first.
There you go.
So right on this
Yes, sir.
show, me, you, Cal, and we talked about Philly, and I said something. And me and Cal went back and forth a little bit. I said, they got a big problem. Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid occupy the same space, and I don't know. For me, I consider myself an untrained basketball eye. I will not put myself in the class of these experts. People have been playing basketball 30 years. These guys are coaches forever. They play forever. How am I, little old me, how can I see this and you guys can't? Ben Simmons is probably just starting to realize it himself that he needs to be someplace else. They can't play together. It's not about them liking each other. It's not about them being friends or whether Ben Simmons is good or Joel Embiid is better. It does not matter. They should not be on the court at the same time if you want to be effective. They occupy the same space. They keep losing, and somebody has to make a stand. I thought it was a good idea they got rid of him. The bad part is that it got out. They should have traded him last year or it became a big public issue and got something for him. Now that it's a public issue, everybody's going to lowball you. So, I mean, I don't know what Philly's expecting. They're going to bring him back and have the same exact problems. So bringing him back solves nothing. And it's not going to increase his value. And what's going to happen later on down the line is that they're going to have to get rid of him anyway and take even less than he's going to get right now.
So to piggyback off you, Dennis, I said 2 years ago they should have traded Ben Simmons 2 years ago. I said this 2 years ago. Me and William spoke about it, and our good friend Mike Wansley, we talked about this. I said they should have traded him because they don't mesh well together. Regular season is one thing, and if you look back at the regular season games, and I always hear Skip Bayless talk about this game when he went to who did he play against?
Utah. It was Utah.
Yeah, and he had like 42 points.
Yeah, he had 42
rebounds.
points.
He almost had a
Right.
triple-double. The whole key to the game was Joel Embiid wasn't in the game.
Correct.
You understand? Every time Joel was out, for whatever reasons, Ben played well. But for me, it was more of a mentality issue going back from before, where it's not that the guy can't shoot. He wouldn't shoot, as evidenced in games 4 through 7 last year. He took no shots in the fourth quarter. Zero shots. I said, that's all mental. All right. And before it even got to that, they should have moved him. I don't know why they didn't move him, what transpired with that, but they should have moved him. And I said that. Also, to my point, I said Doc Rivers will not win in Philly. That's just me.
I mean,
I'm not going to elaborate. I'm not going to throw nobody under the bus, but I'm sticking by my gun because I said that last year. I'm going to stick by my gun.
I look
I don't
at
see
it.
Philly doing anything.
I look at it and I say, you know what? I was never a fan of Philly giving Ben Simmons a max contract to begin with.
Agreed.
I said
Agreed.
it. You know what? You guys are going to regret that. And you're giving a guy a max contract who is number one, he's not a polished player. Number two, he has clearly shown to you time in and time out that he shies away from, that moment, in the spotlight. Because I mean, if you're 6'10, 6'11, at that point you get the ball, you got an open layup, you're dunking the ball. But again, this guy, he's afraid to shoot. He's afraid to shoot free throws. And we're not even talking about, Ben Simmons needs to get on the 3-point fad like so many other people are in the NBA. Brother, just work on your
Right.
50, like the game from 15 feet within. And
Yeah,
I
simple.
th-
It's
I
what they
think
teach you.
right, and I think Ben Simmons has the wrong people in his ear because it's simple like this. You look at Ben Simmons right now, and if he had the right people in his ear, they would clearly tell him, listen, if you work on your offensive game, you will be unstoppable. Unstoppable to the point that you're going to get more money off of the court due to endorsements. And for whatever reason, Ben Simmons took the comments that Doc Rivers and Joel Embiid both said after game 7, which were true. Okay. And he took them and ran with them in the wrong direction. Ben
Agreed.
Simmons, Ben
Agreed.
Simmons, Ben Simmons should have taken those and said, hey, you know what? I need to step my game up because listen, let's be realistic. Philly is a tough-minded town. And if you don't come to produce when you are a star or a superstar, the people there are going to let you know. Ben Simmons, regardless of whether or not the things can get, smoothed out with him in the 76ers right now, when he walks through the arena doors and when he steps on that floor, he's not going to get a lot of love from the people. The best way for you to change that is go out there and you got to produce. But to your point, Dennis, Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid cannot play together because they occupy the paint. And
That's
when
right.
when you think about Ben Simmons when he first came into the league, it's been all about the comparisons to LeBron James. And what is one thing about LeBron's career that we have seen over and over and over? LeBron cannot play well consistently with bigs. You look at all of the big men that LeBron has played with, they have had to alter their game. And I don't see anybody in Philadelphia altering the game of Joel Embiid, especially for a guy like Ben Simmons who has shown he cannot consistently shoot the basketball.
Agreed. And also, I just want to add this to it. If Joel Embiid, who has lost weight, I think we talked about this yesterday, actually gets into shape of physical definition, I would definitely say he's probably going to be the best player in the league. If he gets in shape. That's all I got to say about that kid. He's a great talent, but he's not in shape. That's just me.
Well, back to Ben Simmons, I want to say it's a personality thing. He's like the cockiest person ever. And to take that hit to his ego, he just couldn't handle it. That's why he wanted to leave. So instead of someone, right, but instead of someone with, right, instead of someone with a personality of someone that's going to go work for it. All right, they don't believe me. Let me go get better. That's what that's the mentality we would want to hear. No, they don't want me here. I'm leaving. Somebody else will want me because I'm the prettiest girl in the world. I'm the best. I that's how I think of him. That's how I think of him when I watch him. Have you ever watched his interviews and like his personality just puts me in a different space? If I was someone, I don't think I would want him on my team just personally. I mean, I don't know him personally. This is going to be on the internet. You can see this. I don't know what I'm going to say. I'm just being honest. I don't think he's the kind of guy I would want on my team from a personality standpoint. You know what I mean? He could be the best teammate in the world. We don't know him, Cal. But from what he puts out to the media, nah.
Well, I'm in agreement with you. I think, being mentally tough at this point and playing sports, you could include all of them. The mental toughness of what you got to do to break down and be a professional and to be successful has been forgotten. It's called, well, let's hold their hand. Let's kiss their asses. Let me wipe your eyebrow with the napkin. Yo, when these dudes going to stand up on their own 2 feet and do what they need to do and put the work in and stop complaining, stop talking. All that's a distraction away from your game and what you should be doing. To me, instead of Ben Simmons, I went out and this, that, bro, you should have been in that gym working on that 15-footer that William just mentioned, going back when he has never really gotten better. He hasn't gotten better since he's been in the league. He's maintained a certain level, and that's where he is. And I don't consider him a superstar. He's a star. He's a solid player, but he would be a much better player if he got his mental straight. And I'll leave it there.
Listen,
Well, the last thing I'm gonna say about him is also this: he should not be a point guard. He is not a point guard. He's a playmaker, but he should not be the team's primary point guard. I've been saying that for a long time. The only person that figured it out was Brett Brown, and they fired his ass. But he's not a point guard. They need to get one. That's another reason why they don't win. They need to still have another ball handler to create shots besides him. Because what happens is when you get into the fourth quarter and he can't hit a jump shot, that's why they have so much trouble scoring down the stretch.
You live
because
by the sword, die by the sword. That's right. You're right.
So they really, really need to they should have went and got one, but whatever, Philly, do your thing. But I don't know. I don't know if Philly gets any further, man. We're gonna top it off with that. I think they end up in the same exact space they were this year. I don't see them improving at all. They're gonna lose between Brooklyn or
Milwaukee.
The Bucks. Yeah.
Well, I will say one final thing about Ben Simmons. I think he needs to take a page from the book of Giannis. And, people were questioning Giannis's game, Giannis's toughness. And, Giannis didn't go out there and react to it negatively. Giannis, was up for the challenge. Giannis worked on the things that he needed to in order to get better. Most importantly, Giannis got mentally tougher because, a lot of people, myself included, were questioning him on that. And you look at the hurdles that Giannis had to overcome in the playoffs this past season. I mean, number one, they beat the Heat in the first round. And I know that Miami was injured and they weren't the same team. But the way that Milwaukee was dominated by Miami in that playoff bubble, that was big for them. Then him going out in game 7 in the second round against the Nets and having the game that he did have in order to help his team get to the conference finals. Coming back with the knee hyperextension in the conference finals and playing his tail off. Then you go to the NBA finals. Phoenix won the first 2 games. Giannis was out there. He still wasn't completely healthy, but he was trying to will his team to win. And to your point, Cal, earlier, they just changed the narrative. They played the big man ball. And like we always say, when it comes to basketball, you know what? You cannot coach size. And we've all played ball. You guys have played ball on higher levels than I have. But I can tell you, when you're playing against a guy who's like 6'8", 6'9", it changes things for what you can do. And Milwaukee, had Giannis 6'11", Chris Middleton, another 6'11" guy, Brooke Lopez out there, and so forth. But not to digress from what we were talking about, comparing Giannis to Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons has to be up for that challenge. I just don't think that he's mentally tough enough to do it. And to your point, Dennis, I think Philly, more often than not, is probably going to be right back in the same spot next season or this coming season. Now, another team who's in the same boat as Philly as far as having a lot of questions coming into this season are the Brooklyn Nets. They have their big three, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden. They only played 7 or 8 games with each other last year, so we never really got an opportunity to see what they could be or couldn't be. Kyrie injured that ankle in the second round when in the playoff series last year versus Milwaukee. Of course, the Nets were up 2-0 after the first 2 games of that series. And then, Kyrie got hurt and it changed. James Harden was out there playing with a bad hamstring. And, Kevin Durant tried to will the team to win, but he just couldn't do it. Now, we know that KD is going to be there. We know that James Harden's going to be there. A lot of questions right now, around the availability of Kyrie Irving. They were able to bring back Blake Griffin. they were able to bring back LaMarcus Aldridge when everybody thought that LaMarcus Aldridge was going to retire due to an undetected heart condition for so many years. Uh, does this Nets team scare people to win a championship with or without Kyrie?
Um, I don't know. I mean, it's hard. I just don't know if they're deep enough. These 82 game seasons are a battle of attrition. You got to stay healthy to some degree. And KD hasn't been healthy. Everybody keeps getting hurt. Kyrie does not ever play 82 games. Let's not even get into the vaccine thing because I don't even know if any of us want to really deal with that topic. But y'all are more than welcome to do it just because, I don't know how it would sound coming from me. But, they have to stay healthy. KD's going to have to play 60 to 75 games, something like that. James Harden's have to play the same amount. And they have to be healthy for the playoffs. And they have to make sure they get themselves better backups. If they could get something out of Aldridge or Blake Griffin with any type of consistency for the season, then they can be on to something. But they have to have backup guard play that can help them. They lost Spencer Dinwiddie. Not sure what team he went to. Where did he go, William?
Washington.
All right, so yeah, that's a wash. But they need to make sure that they're getting good backup guard play. I know they signed somebody. Jesus, I'm so bad. I'm drawing a blank. But I know they signed somebody. When I'm done talking, I'll find out who that was and come back and say, they signed a good backup guard to help, with what they need going on. But, it's bad to have somebody like Kyrie and to feel like you can't depend on them. And I don't care what nobody says on that team. I know they feel they can't depend on that dude.
Well, to piggyback off of you, I'm going to keep it as simple as this. In order to win, you got to be on the court. So if we all signed up, when we signed up to play and to win a championship, you got to be on the court. It doesn't matter what the issue is. My biggest thing is, and this is the only part I'm gonna say, it's your choice. It's your body. You got to do what's right for you. Is life or death. You got to do what's best for you. And I'll leave that there. But remembering what we signed up for, which was to win, you got to be on the court. So if you're not on the court, the chances of you winning are less. Do I think the Nets can make a move? Going back to Williams' question, without Kyrie, absolutely. I mean, collectively, they got the three best players in the league on one team. That's just my opinion. I mean, when you talk about a big three, that's about the bit that it don't get no better than that. No matter what the Lakers got, no matter what they try to show you, they don't got those players. That's just a collection of players, and all that's going to remain a mystery until we get them on the court. You have to get on the court, and once we get on the court, then I can say whatever. By New Year's, we'll know what's going on. I ain't gonna put too much into the Nets. It's a lot, and I was gonna wear my net hat earlier to bother Michael Ansley if he does watch this telecast. I didn't. I don't really have much to say about all the stuff that's going on because it's off the court stuff. To me, off the court is not going to win you a championship. Whatever's going on off the court, it's not going to win you a championship. And these guys are getting paid hella dollars. You know what I'm saying? So your choice. If you choose to play, then you play, and hopefully, you make an impact to help your team. I'll leave it there.
I mean,
But the scary part about that, sorry, William, is
Mm-hmm.
that how much it appears that he doesn't care. And we all know who he is. He really doesn't care if he's a distraction or not. No matter how much he says that he doesn't want to be a distraction, he's a distraction everywhere he goes. Even from when he was at Duke, Kyrie Irving is a distraction. And it's a shame because you are right, Kyle. They're the three best one-on-one players on one team. I don't think I've ever seen that many great one-on-one players on one team. Ever. My opinion. Sorry, bro.
I mean, I look at it like this. To your point, Dennis, you're 100% right. Kyrie has always, had issues every place he went. I mean, this guy, what was it? He played 11 games collegiately at Duke, and he was out mysteriously all year with the foot injury or the toe injury, and he came back just long enough so he could shine in the ACC tournament and the NCAA tournament, in order to improve his stock for the NBA draft, which he did end up going first overall. He couldn't, be LeBron's Robin in Cleveland, in spite of the success that they had. And we saw what happened in Boston, and of course now with the Nets. So with Kyrie, I think Kyrie's always going to be a distraction, regardless of what it is. This is the thing. This is a bet that the Nets made, and they're going to have to lay in it. I was not sold on the Nets last year for a lot of different reasons. I'm still not sold on the Nets. I look at their depth or lack thereof it. On top of that, I'm still not sold on Steve Nash as a head coach either. And the one head coach that they did have on that team, Mike D'Antoni, who was an assistant, left. So I look at it, the Nets. The Nets are that pretty girl that's always single. And I say that from the standpoint, like you meet the girl and you're like, oh man, why is she single? She's so beautiful. She's so this, she's so that. You talk to her for 5 minutes and it's like, okay, I see why you're single. That's who the Brooklyn Nets are. So I mean, I look at them, they have what it takes to, bring, people into the games. I know people are gonna be happy to be back at the Barclays Center this year, full capacity, like they weren't last year until the playoffs. But nonetheless, you know what? I think the people who follow this team are set up for some more disappointment.
Well, I'll end it here. For me personally, until I see them on the court over extended time, it's hard for me to make a judgment. But I do feel in my gut that it's a very slim chance that we'll see them in the final.
Yeah.
I don't think as they're constructed, like I said, I could be proven wrong once they get playing, and health is going to play a big issue with it, as well as keeping down distractions, because you got a couple of guys on that team that's they're mentally fragile. And I'm not just saying gonna sit here and bash Kyrie. The other two guys got a lot of things with them, Harden and Kevin Durant. They got a lot of things with them as well. And so, a circus is an atmosphere. I think if they could, focus and kind of get themselves together, we may be able to see what everybody envisioned when the team was put together last year. It's a chance. So I'm gonna just leave it there. But I don't think we'll see them in the final. I'll be very, very, very surprised. And I think health will play a major issue in it.
Now, another team that calls New York City home, the New York Knicks. We saw them come out of nowhere last year with first year head coach Tom Thibodeau. They finished fourth in the East. Julius Randle had the best season of his NBA career by far. But then the Knicks got a reality check in the first round as they lost in 5 games to the Atlanta Hawks, and they really could have gotten swept. With that said, as the Knicks overachieved last year, do you still see the Knicks as a team that could be, as far as a playoff team, being able to avoid that play-in tournament, or do you see them as a team competing for a play-in spot this year?
Um, the Knicks need
Okay,
those young guys
I'll
that they
go.
drafted
Go ahead,
to,
Dennis. Go ahead.
to real. I'm sorry, the Knicks really need those young guys to develop and take the next step if they're going to get past where they currently are. They need more out of R.J. Barrett. They need more out of Kevin Knox or whoever else they have down there that they drafted that has not become anything less than a role player yet. And somebody's going to have to step up into a borderline star area to help Randall carry the load and become more than what they already are. Other than that, you're going to get the same exact thing. The way Thibodeau coaches, he coaches on an even plane, meaning the teams don't normally get worse on him. They either get better or they stay the same. So he's going to have them ready to play, and they're going to defend. But unless somebody turns into something that we're not expecting, I just don't see them getting – I really did like the big man they drafted from Texas, though. I was really surprised that he was his late second-round pick, the kid Sims. He takes it out the sky. Okay, and he can make up for when Mitchell Robinson gets hurt, because Mitchell Robinson always gets hurt. And don't be surprised if he's playing quite a bit.
Well, I want to give a shout out to my guy Macklin McMillan. And I said I would give an honest assessment on the Knicks. Here's my assessment. I think that the Knicks they will drop from the number 4. They were 41-31 last year. They're gonna go down from that number 4 to 7-8. Here's why. I believe between the Pacers, the Hornets, and the Bulls, especially the Bulls, they're going to change the dynamic of what the Eastern Conference was last year, because those teams have gotten better in a way that the Knicks, especially the Bulls, have gotten better in a way that I would have expected the Knicks to get better in. It just didn't happen. It just didn't happen for the Knicks. They made some moves, but I'm just not too what's that word? I don't believe in the moves. I mean, they got Kemba Walker, they got Evan Fournier, they re-signed Derrick Rose. I think they maxed out Julius Randle. They got the kid Sims from Texas. I think Emmanuel Quickly is the one that's he's left holding the bag. All right. That's my opinion. They got a guy they got from overseas that they signed. And then you got 2 point guards ahead of you. How do you develop that kid who should be on the floor for at least 35 minutes a night?
I'm ashamed of you, Kyle. I'm ashamed of you, man. You better root for your man, Easy Pass from the Bronx, son. What's wrong with you, man?
Listen, I rocks with Kemba, but Kemba's not my peer. All right, I'm gonna keep it 100. You know what I'm saying? That's my friend's peer, and it's nothing personal. Kemba is a good player, but he's a one and done guy. He's one and done. He's getting $8 million this year to play. Hopefully, I hope he plays well and gets himself into a better situation than he will with the Knicks. Because Tom Thibodeau, as you pointed out yourself, Dennis, is gonna burn, baby, burn. He's gonna burn the Knicks out. He's gonna run them out before December. He's gonna throw them all under the bus. He's gonna run them. He killed them last year. That's why they didn't have no energy to play against Trey, and Trey bust stay behind. That came from you, Dennis. Tom Thibodeau, they ain't gonna get no worse. They're gonna stay right where they was at, and they're gonna be just as tired as they was last year. Mark my words.
I think the biggest thing for the Knicks is that, you know what, to your point, Cal, a lot of teams that they finished better than in the East last year got better. Miami has gotten better. Charlotte has gotten better. Chicago has gotten better, just to name a few. And Atlanta,
Yeah.
Atlanta made a serious run, and I think Atlanta is going to be able to feed off of that coming into next season, because, we talk about star players. Trey Young, is a star. He's a bona fide star. I think.
Yeah.
Listen, his what we saw last season in the playoffs, that was his coming out party. Because I watched him play at Oklahoma. He had his ups and downs there. He did get the Sooners to the tournament in his one season there. But nonetheless, it all came full circle for him last year. They made sure to re-sign John Collins, and if you watch,
he's nice. I like him.
And if you watch John Collins play in the postseason, they had to pay him. About the bottom line. And on top of that, now they get a full season with Nate McMillan. And Nate McMillan, I always thought, was an underrated NBA coach. They fired Lloyd Pierce mid-season last year, and Nate McMillan was an assistant coach, and Nate McMillan took over, and the rest is history. So, but getting back to the Knicks, I just think that the teams around them got better. I agree with both of you guys. Tom Thibodeau burns his teams out. If you look back to Chicago, after that first season where D Rose got the MVP and they won 62 games, little by little, their record went down. Because it was just that grind them out, and it just wore on them. I don't see the Knicks. The Knicks ran up on a lot of people and caught them by surprise last year. But the bottom line is the Knicks are not going to get people's milk money this year in the same fashion that they did last year. I still think that they can be a playoff team. Knicks fans are not going to want to hear it, but you know what? You have to be realistic. They have what it takes to be a playoff team, but I think they're going to go a little bit further down the pecking order this season.
Let me add this. The Knicks are going to burn in the garbage can because of their fans. They're going to, if hell is a place, The Garden is it. They're gonna burn because of their fans. Their fans spitting and cussing. Half them people, if you take them out of the Garden, man, they walk around New York with their head down, man. They not no thugs and no gangsters. Look at all the thugs the Knicks had. Where's the chip? If you could beat up everybody, where did you win? They didn't win anything. So it'll happen again. And they're trying to make a team that are not thugs. These are nice guys that got talent. They're not thugs. They're trying to make them into thugs with the fake ass fans that they got. I'm gonna blame the Knicks fans. Yep, they're gonna lose.
I have nothing more to say about the Knicks. I live in Brooklyn, and it's a dangerous place. With that being said, Atlanta is so interesting. First of all, to speak on the whole John Collins thing, if y'all remember how much back and forth about his contract, I was so confused as to what was taking him so goddamn long. He can shoot the three, take it up the sky, defends, he rebounds. He's a perfect four for today's game. What are you doing? Dangling him? They had him in trade talks. I was so lost as to why they were looking to do that. But to continue on to why I actually like them, I'm going to tell you why I like them right now. They actually have someone where they could take Trae Young out, and this guy's going to run the team. Don't be surprised. Auburn had a point guard last year. This kid named Sharif Cooper. He's a little undersized. They drafted him. I think they might have taken him in the end of the first round or the second round. But he's going to be the primary backup to Trae Young, I think. And this kid has special talent. As a matter of fact, there's a highlight floating around the internet of John Collins coming out the sky and dunking on somebody in a preseason game. And it wasn't Trae Young that threw the alley-oop. It was Sharif Cooper. And this guy is fast. Like I said, he's a little undersized. He don't shoot it like Trae, but he going to be able to push the tempo and keep the pace of the game up. What they really need to take that next step is these guys they drafted, Reddish, and these guys to develop Reddish and the kid from Virginia. His name is escaping me right now. DeAndre. What's his name? Somebody help me out. The kid from Virginia they drafted that was a wing, and he was hurt all last year. DeAndre. Hold on.
I'm not sure what his name is, but
I know who I'm talking about. He's a wing from Virginia. I don't want to go on too long, but I'll come back with it. And the guy I was talking about, right? He's real good. And the dude that I was talking, DeAndre Hunter, that's the kid I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
Right. And the guy that the Nets picked up that I think is going to help them is Patty Mills. But anyway, let's keep going. Atlanta's dangerous, man. They could go from they could be a 3 seed.
We didn't even name Bogdanovich. Yo, that kid is nice.
Right.
I like his game. I like his game. He can actually control the game with Trae or without Trae. He showed it. He can handle the rock. He can shoot. He makes sound decisions, and he can get to the rack. I like that kid too. Yeah,
I like Atlanta's roster. Like I said, they get a little development out of those guys they drafted that year. They drafted 110 and 16. I think they drafted DeAndre Hunter 6, and they drafted Cam Reddish 10 that year when they had the 2 first-round picks. They get those guys to develop, and they still got Collins, and then they got Capella. They all right, man.
Right.
They all right. And then Trae Young, he the orchestrator, he the maestro. So
we'll see.
I don't know. We'll see. I like that roster though. That's a team that when I flip on my NBA package, I'm gonna be watching a few of their games. I like the way they constructed.
Well, Dennis, you talked about the NBA package, but what about the Boston Celtics? I mean, this team, you have to wonder if they've run their course. I know no longer Danny Ainge is running the front office. Brad Stevens is now running the front office. He's no longer the head coach. You still have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. They brought back Enes Kanter. They brought back Al Horford. You still have Marcus Smart there. But, the way that the Celtics play and the way that they're constructed, this is another team. I don't know if they're ever going to be any more than what we currently seen them as.
They remind me of a college team, all right? And I've been saying this the last few years. They remind me of a college team. I believe they also have Dennis Schroeder over there too.
Right.
I think who they got, I think Jabari Parker might be on that roster.
Yes, he is.
They got a couple of guys over there that's capable of doing some things, but they don't have one distinguished leader. It's like take your pick between Tatum and Brown. I like Marcus Smart. All right. I think his talent is being wasted in Boston. That's my opinion. I think that he's a glue guy. Everybody needs a glue guy. But I think, I don't see them as being any better than what they were last year. And basically they took a dip. I believe they finished number 7 last year.
Right.
After having all those runs into the conference finals. I think the coaching took a hit. I think maybe guys stopped listening. But Kemba Walker, he never seemed to really fit with them. Keep it up, keep it 100. I don't know. I'm not sold, but anything can happen.
Yeah, I mean, I look at the Celtics as, just to your point, they might have run their course. I think one of the biggest problems for the Celtics is like a problem that a lot of the teams in the league have. They're relying too much on a perimeter shot. Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown are not consistent perimeter shooters. Jalen Brown is better when he's getting to the basket, as is Jason Tatum. And Jason Tatum, he was working on like getting that post game, the baseline jumper, a la Kobe, because they did work together for a few summers before Kobe passed. But nonetheless, I think that's where they're at their best. So, I mean, I look at it. I think the Celtics are another one of those teams. Listen, I think the East got better around them, and I think they're going to get caught up in the mix this year.
I don't really know how I feel about Boston. They really are an
I
enigma
can't
in
hear
my
you guys
mind.
at all.
I said I don't really know how I feel about Boston. They are just an enigma in my mind, and they're going to be a team that is going to have to try and get their identity as the season goes along. I mean, you can't deny the talent of Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown. So that's always going to put them in position to win a game. But is it going to make them into a 1 seed? Is it going to have them win in the playoffs? Definitely not. I mean, they're going to need more than that. So it's going to take some time for us to see what they're about. As it stands right now, they just they just stand pat. They're the same thing that they were the last 2 years, just there. But they'll win a game here and there, but they're not going to make any noise.
Now, one team that did make a lot of noise this offseason, that was the Chicago Bulls. They now have DeMar DeRozan. They now have Lonzo Ball, and you still have Zach LaVine. And this is a team that a lot of people are high on as far as them being able to make a deep, well, I can't say a deep playoff run, but they will be improved as far as where they have been the last couple of years. So I'm looking at this Bulls roster. They have made the adjustments, a lot of upgrades rather, and I think they can be a player as far as getting a postseason spot this season.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. They're going to be fun to watch at the very least, even if they don't win games. You're going to see lobs coming out the sky. There's going to be games where they make a bunch of threes. They still got Martin, right? They didn't trade him. He's still on the roster. You got LaVine, you got Ball. They got 6'6", 6'6" in the backcourt, ultra athletic guys. They got the kid Pat Williams from Florida State. Wait, they traded Wendell Carter, right?
I believe so. I think he might have been a part of that Cleveland trade.
Right. So, but they still have size. They have everything you could possibly want. What they need to get is continuity and they need to play some defense. They need to play some defense up there. And I think they can make a lot of noise in the East. The East is to be had, man. They can definitely finish in the top half of the Central because it's just the Milwaukee Bucks, the Pacers. And who else in the Central is going to be able to contend?
Nobody, because Detroit and Cleveland are bottom feeders.
Right. So you got Detroit, Cleveland in the basement. You got Indiana, who's basically treading water, and the Bulls made a power move.
Right.
Bulls definitely made a power move. They made a power move with signing Lonzo Ball. It was a good spot for him to go to. They still got Kobe White to come off the bench. They got some depth. They got some scoring. They're gonna be dangerous. Bulls are definitely gonna be dangerous.
Well, to piggyback off of you, I do think the Bulls are gonna definitely have an effect on the seeding in the Eastern Conference. I don't think they'll be on the outside looking in. I actually like the Pacers. They got a nice little crew over there. I just want to give a special shout out to two of my former teammates' sons who actually made the league. We got one kid, RJ Nemhart, from out of TCU. He got an invite out there to Cleveland. You know, he made the roster. I think he'll be a two-way player. He's a 6'5" guard, can shoot, can defend, and can get to the rack. You know, it'll be good watching him and talking to the people. You know, his mom and all of them were good supporters. And also I got Scott Lewis Jr. over there. He was drafted in the second round by the Charlotte Hornets. Me and his dad, I mean, we all been in the trenches together, you know, and just to have two kids, you know, and it's funny because, you know, while they were in high school, you know, I had a chance to watch both kids, and I had spent some time out in Vegas, basically checking out Scott Lewis Jr. And these kids, they made it. You know, I just hope that they stick around and that, you know, they do the best they can and play hard. And, you know, that'll give me a reason to watch. Well, I was already watching Charlotte from LaMelo last year. I like LaMelo and I like Mr. Rozier out there in Charlotte. You know, good players. You know what I'm saying? That they will make you watch them. But I got a reason to watch Cleveland. I just want to give those kids a shout out and a shout out to their parents, Ruben Nemhart Sr. and Scott Lewis Sr. You know what I'm saying? It should be good watching the basement teams, but I hope my guys do good.
Wow, man, that's a great look, man. Wow, that was great to hear, man. You. I don't know those kids, but I'm rooting for them now too because of you.
Thank you, Dennis.
Yeah, man. Listen, I mean, listen, that's all. Listen, it's always a good feel good story. You know, when you see somebody that, you knew, make it, or, the son or, of somebody or daughter of somebody that you, knew who made it. And I think we've all been like that. You know, we've all seen people that we know who we knew personally make it to the NBA, MLB, NFL, you name it. And you're like, wow. And so it's like, it's a part of, like, it feels like a part of you, you know what I'm saying? So like, listen, that definitely is going to be a good story, for that. With that said, I'm looking at the Washington Wizards because, this team, they were on the cusp last year. They were in that play-in tournament. Of course, they traded Russell Westbrook to the Lakers. I want to see what that ex-Laker band is going to look like playing alongside Bradley Beal now. And I'm talking about, Montrezl Harrell, Kyle Kuzma. And then on top of that, like we talked about it earlier briefly, the Wizards went out there and got Spencer Dinwiddie, and they gave Dinwiddie some bread. And, also we're talking about, Rui Hachimura, who was a guy who the Wizards drafted early on in the draft a couple of years ago. Do the Wizards have enough to make some noise in the East? I mean, they have a new head coach, Wes Unseld Jr. Do they have enough to make some noise?
No, not at all. They're gonna finish in the basement. That's the basement team right there. Sorry. And Bradley Beal, of course, we all know he's not vaccinated. We don't know if he can go to games in New York or where he's gonna be able to play. We don't even know the other team's vaccination rules. Basement. Definitely in the basement.
Well, as far as the Wizards are concerned, I'm currently here in Maryland. I should be leaving here very soon. They're not a really big ticket out here. They barely got into the playoffs last year. I actually own a Wizards hat. I like Bradley Beal, but at the end of the day, this is the trap that these players fall into. They become great players on bad teams, and then once they play them first couple of years, and that max contract comes, they take the money, right? They take the money. Then a year or two later, they want to be traded. Bradley Beal, I respect him for not being, funny style about it, but I know he wants to leave. I know he wants to leave. That's basic common sense. But I'm gonna piggyback off of Dennis. I won't say basement. I want to say the basement for the Pistons and Mr. Cade Cunningham, who is a good player, and I like Trey Lyles also. But I'm gonna save the basement for them. But I don't think the Wizards will be a playoff team this year, in my opinion.
I think the Wizards are going to be in the mix for that play-in tournament. I really do. I think it's a situation. I think Kuzma has something to prove. I'm not saying that Kuzma is going to be an all-star player. Bradley Beal is going to continue to put up numbers, but the bottom line is Bradley Beal needs to find a way to make the players around him better, and I'm not sure if he's capable enough to do that. I think they're going to be in the mix for probably that 10th spot, in the East. And it's a situation, a couple of years ago, you say, okay, if they're going to finish 10th in the East, they're not making the playoffs. But, since they're doing this play-in tournament foolishness, obviously things have changed. And then you're giving more teams, an opportunity. So I think they will be in the mix for that part. But, I look at some teams that, like, I look at the 7 to 10 slot, those slots. We talked about New York. I think the Knicks are going to be, in that realm. Indiana could be in that realm too, because they lost some people, but you also bring in Rick Carlisle. You bring in Rick Carlisle back to the Pacers. I think Rick Carlisle got, he got a bad deal in Dallas. I'll talk about that, in the Western Conference preview. But nonetheless, he knows how things are done in Indiana, so that accounts for something. You have Demontis Sabonis and Malcolm Brogdon there. I think Indy's going to be in that mix. Charlotte definitely, because you figure I think LaMelo Ball is going to continue to improve. You have Terry Rozier. You also have Gordon Hayward on that team. And I think everything, could come together for Charlotte to, be in that mix. Orlando, Detroit, and Cleveland. I definitely think they're going to be a step down from everybody else. Toronto, they're in rebuild mode. Kyle Lowry's no longer there. All of their key players from that title team are gone. It's just Pascal Siakam and Fred Van Fleet for that point. But nonetheless, I'm looking at some of those teams who are going to be vying for those last spots. Washington, Indiana, Charlotte, and I think Charlotte might be the best of the bunch. So it's going to be interesting to see what they can do.
Kyle bring up a good point, and this is why I love podcasting with Kyle and you guys, because y'all always make me think. Is Bradley Beal the next Mitch Richmond? Is he the next good player on a bad team that we're gonna wonder what if he ever played on a good team, or if he ever found a way to actually develop the rest of the guys on his team, or if the front office got it together? Is Bradley Beal the next Mitch Richmond? Like, are we asking ourselves that right now today?
Listen, sometimes
I
you
know
just
I am. Huh? Go
no,
ahead,
no,
Will.
no, I was just gonna say sometimes you just have guys, regardless of the sport, that what they put up good numbers on bad teams. I mean, you think about Barry Sanders, how many years he had on the Lions, in the NFL, and it really didn't amount to anything. Aeneas Williams, all of those years playing for the Arizona Cardinals. We see it in the NBA as well. You mentioned Mitch Richmond. I think Brad Beal could be in that mix too. I think the thing with Brad Beal, like I said, he's a great scorer, but he doesn't make the people around him better. And until you find a way, granted, he's not a point guard, he's a guard, but still, you got to find a way to have the people around you step their game up and elevate their game. And, Brad Beal, for what it's worth, he's the type of guy that he'll go out there and drop 40 points in a game, and then he'll just look around like, man, why did we lose? It's like, it's one of those where it's kind of like that Devin Booker aspect for the most part in Devin Booker's first few years with the Suns. Every time Devin Booker scored 40 points, the Suns usually lost. It wasn't until like Devin Booker would drop 20 to 25 a game and more people got involved that the Phoenix Suns would win. And then, of course, last season when they brought in Chris Paul and they got themselves a point guard, it changed the dynamic of that team. I think Bradley Beal would really be served with having himself a true point guard, a guy who knows how to facilitate. He played with John Wall, and I know John Wall had the assist, but also John Wall still had that scoring mindset. Then you go from John Wall to Russell Westbrook, another guy who's really not a point guard. Brad Beal needs a point guard. And the thing is like Brad Beal, he's probably going to score close to 30 points a game again. But again, it's not going to amount to that team ball that the Wizards will need for them to take the next step.
Well, they don't. They just don't have the players. They don't have the personnel. I don't care how we gas this up with Kyle Kuzma. He was marginal at best on that bubble championship that they won. I actually thought he was a better player, not the year before, but the year before LeBron came. I thought he was a better player. I'm not sold on him. I think Montrezl Harrell is a good player, but the problem with him is he's mouse in the house. He's too small, and he got exposed last year for being just that. As far as Contavious Caldwell-Pope, watching him was like watching. I'm not even going to talk about this blonde man. God rest him. It was like watching somebody with a blindfold on just shoot all over the place and not make a shot consistently. He was Ray Charles. He was Ray Charles last year. He couldn't make a shot, and that affected those guys not being able to step up in the absence of those stars out in LA. It just showed how weak their roster was. And when these guys were given a chance after crying and complaining, including Dennis Schroeder, about how they wanted to be number one players, they want to be up there and be on that level, they couldn't get it done. I don't see Washington playing their way out of a paper bag. I'm just
Okay,
being honest.
hold on. Breaking news. The Raiders just basically fired John Gruden.
Okay.
Okay. It needed to happen. They had to do it.
Crazy. Breaking freaking news. Back to our regular
But here,
program.
this real quick. Let me just add this, Dennis, real quick. And I know that's your crew too. Let me add this to you. A lot of people, a lot of sports heads, big heads, from Shannon Sharp, Stephen A. Smith, and all these different people, they all said that he shouldn't get fired. And when I heard them say that today, I said, oh, he's getting fired.
You know, I purposely didn't watch any Shannon Sharp. Whenever I know I'm doing a podcast with William or with you guys, I don't watch any of that stuff because I don't want my views to be influenced by anyone talking. So I don't watch any of that stuff. I purposely avoid all of it. I got the Monday night game on in the background. I'm just here with you guys. And I was like, whoa. I really didn't think they were going to fire him either. He behaved today in the press conference like nothing was going to happen.
Well, they had to do it. It was like it's cancellation season. If they could cancel Dave Chappelle, they damn sure could cancel or try to cancel him. They could cancel John Gruden. They got to pay him. I give him that $100 million.
What you think, William?
He basically he violated.
Listen, we'll I'll touch on that later, but my biggest thing right now that I want to get out of you guys is, who do you like to come out of the East? Cal, I'll start with you, man.
Santa Claus. I'm saying, to me, I don't know. I'm going to give the respect to the defending champion. I'll give them the respect. I'll leave it there.
For me, I talked about this with you, and I'm going to put it out there again. I like Miami. I really do. And the reason why I say it is this. For me, there's too many questions around both the Brooklyn Nets and the Philadelphia 76ers. And for me, I think the two biggest things with Milwaukee, number one, they have to now get adjusted to having everybody chasing them. Okay. They were one of the hunters. Now they're the hunted, and they're coming back on a short rest to play a full 82 games. I want to see how this team responds to that, and I want to see how they're up for the challenge. And I really like the acquisitions that Miami made. I know you talked about, Cal, their size could be a problem. And my thing is this: I don't disagree with you, but I will say this: Pat Riley will definitely be going out there at some point during the season to try to make some more moves. I think Kyle Lowry's an upgrade over Goran Dragic. I know you and I might disagree on that. That's cool.
No, I agree. No, it's an upgrade. It's just that he was part of that. Dragic was part of that culture.
Okay.
And basically, he was kind of sort of to an extent, along with Jimmy Butler, the heart and soul of that team. That's all. But no, Lowry is definitely an upgrade.
I like the addition of PJ Tucker, as well. You bring in one of the Morris brothers, Markeith, that is. I like that. I like that addition as well. So they're going to be a tough team. Put it like this: Miami's going to be one of those teams. If you score 100 points on them, you're definitely going to have to earn it. So that, like, with that said, that's why I'm going to have Miami as my team to come out of the East.
That's actually a brave and intelligent observation and pick, William. I just don't know if any of these other teams are healthy, if they can really take them out. They might really push them to the brink of elimination, 7-game series, game 6, game 7. But, I mean, come on. I mean, is that enough to take out Milwaukee? Is that enough to take out Boston? I mean, not Boston. Is that enough to take out Brooklyn? But, I mean, with the uncertainty with their rosters and the health of these teams and their track record over the last few years, you could be on to something.
I think Brooklyn and Philly take out themselves, man. I think they implode from within. I really do. You know what I mean? So, like, that's why. And it comes down to, it's not just about what a team is on paper. It's, everybody being on the same page as a collective unit. And that's why, I definitely got to throw Miami into that mix, man.
All right, well, hey, I guess we all heard it. And the funny thing is, and nobody's picking the obvious teams that everybody is really like on those type of bandwagons. More than anything, I hope that both New York teams, I hope they just play pretty well. Because when New York teams play well, the city usually does well. Crime goes down, good things happen. I'm hoping it could be a festive holiday. I'm hoping everybody can enjoy a little bit. But at the end of the day, I just feel like the obvious teams or the obvious choices, I just can't roll with them. I'm a stick with the defending champion and give them the benefit of the doubt, and I will know by January how it shake out.
Yeah, man.
Spoken truly like someone that moved out of New York City. Crime is never going down here. All right, you need to come back. All right, walk down Livonia Avenue. Crime everywhere, bro.
See you in 2 weeks. I'll be there. You know
well, there you have it. I can't wait for the NBA season. I know you guys, can't wait for the NBA season either. And as always, I want to take this time and thank both of you, for chiming in, this evening and dropping, some jewels on here. Each one of you respectively, is there anybody that you want to give a shout out to before we call it a night?
No, just you. They need to hit the button and subscribe. 300 pounds of sports knowledge. Hit the button, subscribe.
Yeah, shout out to you, William, man. Thanks for the birthday wishes yesterday. I appreciate it, bro.
Oh, happy birthday, D.
Oh, thanks, Kyle.
Happy 95th birthday. How I feel to be 95.
Yo, this shit is crazy. I never imagined getting this old ever. And then I look at myself in the mirror and I'm not sure if I got older or not.
No, you look good for 95. You look very good.
Yeah. Yo, I'm West Indian. I was born with a receding hairline. So the shit always looked like this. People think it just receded over time. No, I always had it.
You look good, bro. You look good.
I'm good, all right, man.
Happy birthday to you, man. My light just cut off my ring light, so I guess that's a sign. So you guys, thanks for having me on. Continue blessings in life, and we'll do it again.
Yeah, hit me up, Cal. We talked about that earlier. I'm ready when you
I
are.
got you, dude. I got you.
William, I'm sure we got work to do now because, this is crazy right now.
Oh, definitely, man. Definitely. And I'll, we'll be back on here real soon to, talk some more stuff. But, as always, thanks to Cal, thanks to Dennis for chiming in tonight. We had a lot to talk about this upcoming NBA season, which should be a blast. And like Cal said, if you like what you listen to tonight, please feel free to hit that subscribe button. If you're on Twitter, check me out at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always tell everybody, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out, drop a line, and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites on social media. So for Dennis Ward and my brother Cal, this is William Martin signing off, saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful night.